What is good, everybody? It is time to go over our anime retrospect for winter 2022. So, this season, man, I had a lot of stuff that I just didn't quite get to. I mean, it was another season where I was a little bit light on what I ended up watching. So, um, just gonna be brief with the few shows that I did end up watching. One of those is definitely Attack on Titan. Had to watch part two, um, and was very surprised to hear them announce part three. Um, so it's not over yet. I thought maybe they were going to do like a movie, but it seems like that was just going to be a third season of the final season of AOT. So, hey, they can name it whatever they like. All I know is that the season this time, man, got crazy. Like, we definitely got to see Aaron develop even more so as a mastermind and a villain antagonist of this whole ordeal, and seeing just how the other scouts and friends have had to adjust to basically Aaron's huge master plan. Um, and and I think that it's very interesting the twist that they ended up putting in there. I'm still trying to keep it a little spoiler free, but yeah, the twist of how things ended up working out, as you know, he was helping, trying to get Zeke's plan together and everything at the start of the season. It was very interesting to see how things turned out, because it went in a direction that I didn't quite expect. But once it hit, it was like, oh, it makes sense, and how he was able to execute it made me just say, whoa, whoa. So all the people who have read the manga, man, I am envious of you, because you know how this is supposed to end. But apparently there are going to be a few tweaks to how it ends in the anime, so we'll see how that goes. Apparently it's being tweaked by the actual writer of the series, so hopefully that is ends in a good way, unlike another series that had the writer do tweaks on the anime version, which was Promise Neverland. That did not end the way it should have, but it is what it is. And yeah, looking forward to more Attack on Titan. I'm wondering how this is going to conclude, because it's there in the midst of something huge, pun intended. So, yeah, the next one I'll talk about is You Faretta season 2. Another kind of trashy isekai series that I just have a lot of fun with. It was interesting seeing more of the journeys that they ended up going through to the different like dungeons and stuff. I can't remember exactly what they called them, but basically their own different dungeons, some underwater, some overseas, and then getting to meet what is her name? The name in my head is Rui, but that's from Demon Slayer. So anyway, the young kind of fish mermaid like girl got to meet her mom, so that was pretty interesting, and see that village. And then just seeing all how much more OP can the main character end up getting has been very very fun to watch. And apparently the manga or the light novel, I can't remember which one it is actually pretty decent. But this is just fun popcorn kind of show to me. Well, for me it'd be cheese it kind of show. So yeah. But I still had fun with it, and seeing the different twists and turns that came with his classmates and what they were dealing with as well. So that was pretty cool. Dug that. Now on to the second season of Case Study of Anita's, and I really enjoyed this one as well. Like just all the different stuff they got to end up doing, whether it be the bit that they had that kind of got set in kind of like its own pocket universe thing, and in dealing with kind of a person, a young lady who had the power to kind of change the world order, and seeing how that thing ended up happening. I think it was like dealing with the beast of Rejuvon or something like that. I think that was the name of the village. So that little story arc was really cool. And then the Mikhail little side story after that was also really cool. And getting to see a little bit more of the past of Anita's through that was really interesting, and yeah, great action all around, and seeing relationships develop and change was really neat. Now, I also want to talk about the rest of the entertainment arc of Demon Slayer. I did get to talk a little bit about it last time, but now we finally got to the end of it during like towards the early half of the winter season, and wow, bro, wow, like talk about some grandiose fights, and them really like toughing it out to like do the best that they can. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to continue on after what happened at the end of the battle. But also just gotta mention seeing full demon form Nezuko was freaking sick. So that was a cool side that I did not expect to see. But yeah, that's the only kind of spoilery thing I'll end up saying about it. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, Demon Slayer is still continuing to be one of the top shows, especially in shonen shows. For me to watch every time it comes on, it gets me hype, and I can't wait for more to see where else it goes. Then next one I want to talk about is the Genius Prince, who got tried to build up the kingdom to get rid of its dead light novel titles. So I thought this was going to be very similar to another show that we're going to talk about, Realist Hero. The season 2 of that, and there are some aspects that are kind of similar, but he definitely has like a different attitude towards helping out the nation that he is in. And so it was pretty cool to see his kind of military prowess, because he definitely got to show a lot more of that, and how he deals with the political dealings in between nations. And yeah, it was a little bit I felt like this one leans a little bit more on the comedy side than Realist Hero does. And yeah, it was very interesting to see how the world building was being done in this show, and I'm looking, hopefully get to see another season, a season 2 for this one, to see how else it develops. But yeah, we'll move quickly on to Realist Hero season 2. Definitely along the same premise, nation building, but this one is kind of slightly more internal. There was a little bit of dealings with other nations, and coalition of kind of alliance thing, empire, as well. But yeah, it was just cool to see how common concepts that are done here in our own world are kind of brought into the kind of more mystical world that they have there, like just sanitation and training centers and education for all, and just seeing how all those different things kind of help build a nation to be more functional. And just you know, seeing that delivered in a fun way, and then also seeing the relationships between him and all of the lovely women in his his little stable of wives, pretty much, because that's what they're all destined to be. Was cool, and then also the little twist to find out the reason why Soma was given the throne from Prince Albert. I mean King Albert. Was pretty interesting to find out how that the reasoning of how that happened and why it happened that way. That was a really neat like little ending, little backstory to get at the tail end of the season. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to see how else they continue to build this particular world. Next one I'll end up talking about is Bakugou Bisco. This was a really fun little adventure, and with Bisco, and I can't think of his real name, but Panda Kun. It was just seeing how they got along, the different towns they ended up going through to find the Rust Eater, and just that whole world with the Rust Eater mushrooms and the actual rust disease and how it affects people. And there are definitely a lot of times where it seems like, shouldn't you be dead? But you know, it is what it is. It was still a fun ride, and seeing how that all turned out, including like notes of past technology that brought them to the state that they're in, like, you know, affected them. It was cool to see that world being built as well. A lot of shows with like really good world building, and you know, that's a good sign of a show if they can really get you invested in the world that they live in. And I was pretty interested in, you know, that world, but mostly the adventures in this one. That was definitely a little bit more of a standout than just the world they live in. But yeah, next I'll be talking about the second season of Yuusha Hime. I really think this is a fantastic successor to Inuyasha. I mean, just kind of, it's just that lighthearted adventure fare, and they really keep the spirit of Inuyasha alive and well. The only thing that's really missing from this is kind of the romance angle that Inuyasha had. But here you definitely get the different relationships being built between the three main heroines. So, you know, Setsuna, I'm gonna fail to remember these names, Moruha and oh no, it's the one we started the whole series off with, and they say her name a whole lot, Toa. There you go. Yeah, so it was great seeing how stronger their bonds end up going, and dealing with the trying to get rid of the age, the degenerate age, with the gigantic kind of demon butterfly thingamajig. So yeah, them having to go forward in time, back in time, and deal with that was really interesting. And finally getting to reunite with Inuyasha and Kagome was really neat. Yeah, sorry if I spoiled that for you, but yeah, we get to see them again. And then also just seeing even some character development for Sashomaru. And yeah, it was neat, very neat, to see all these old characters and new characters, and see how, you know, having children changes people, and yeah, it was neat. Very fun time, some lighthearted fare, action fare that I quite enjoyed. So yeah. I would talk about the 24th Ward Tokyo thing if I finished it, but I dropped it. It was interesting at first, and then it just was like, okay, never mind. Same thing with Police in a Pod. I was watching that, and then I dropped it at both. I ended up dropping both of those at around like 4 or 5 episodes. Like they had some with Police in the Pod. They did have some like funny moments, but then it just kind of got to a point where it's like, I can just maybe watch it later instead of watching it week to week. But you know, that's just what I think there. But I am definitely watching some more new stuff for this upcoming season, this spring season here. Let me bring up the shows, and I'll just do a quick rundown of the ones that I am actually watching now that I have to watch on Crunchyroll since Funimation is dead. It's not even Funimation anymore. Like, I ended up seeing in my subscriptions, I was like, what in the world? Crunchyroll dubs? When did I subscribe to that? Oh, Crunchyroll dubs is the Funimation channel I was subscribed to. Cool. It's official. Anyway, some of the shows that I'm watching, if this really is the case, I probably will end up watching Data Live 3 if Data Live 3 is happening. So as soon as that starts, I'll watch that. Let's see. Then what else am I trying to watch? Once Kaguya-sama comes on again, I'm definitely going to be watching that. What else do we have in here? It's a lot of shows that are airing. Skeleton Knight in Another World, ended up watching the first episode yesterday, and it seems like it could be fun. We'll see. If it gets boring, I'll cut it out. Spy Family, also just saw that first episode today. This morning I watched it. And I'm really looking forward to see how this develops, since I know this is a very loved manga, so I'm curious to see how all of this develops. And the first episode was pretty cute, getting to meet our main guy and the daughter, so that was pretty nice. Then we also had The Daughter of the Witch, and gonna end up watching that. Watched the first episode of that, and it seems like it could be some silly fun, so we're gonna enjoy that. We got the second season, The Shield Hero, and excited to see how this is gonna develop. It got to watch the first episode and right after binging all the stuff that came beforehand. And so I think it's gonna be pretty cool because I like the world that they have here, and the characters are pretty nice too. Really interested to see how some of the other characters that seem to be added to the party end up affecting things. So looking forward to that. Trapped in a Dating Sim, am watching that. I just got done watching the second episode of that before I started recording this, and it seems like it might be more interesting than I thought. At first I thought, it's just, it's seriously just gonna be fun poking at tropes and such, but now that things are slightly going off track from what he thought was going to happen, it could lead to some interesting things. So we got that, and then we'll see if there's anything else I end up adding to that list by the time the season is over. You'll end up getting my retrospect of that. If I probably won't, like, out of everything that's here, there's not really much more I want to end up mentioning that I'm for sure going to be watching. But tell me what you guys thought of this past season. What were your favorite shows? I'm curious to find out. And Also, just want to mention briefly that I have a Patreon if you'd like to help support your boy. It is linked in the description box if you're watching here on YouTube. If you are on the blog, just go to patreon.com/sportmaster5. If you want to support the leader of Muddy Cult Madhouse, you can always look up Muddy Cult Miko to support her as well and get some extra content, just like I would do the same for you. But yeah, that is going to be all today. So until next time, much love, peace.